Hi, I'm Lisa Nichols, and I'm one of the passionate few. So I absolutely love the interview with Omar. It was very comfortable, real. It's actually a conversation that just happened to be recorded. So I believe that it had the ability through its natural organic flow to allow us to sit in a space of authenticity and truth. I think that people need this because so many times we are putting on a show or a mask. And I think everything that this show represents is the willingness to be you, do you, show yourself. I think that men have an opportunity to show a different kind of heart these days. And Omar does it masterfully. There's a masculine gentleness and a gentle masculinity. And I think that there's a dance that can occur across gender lines, across cultural lines. And I always love when it happens. And there's just a dynamic spark that occurs when the right person is sitting across from me. And Omar definitely was that right person.
Welcome to this episode of The Passionate Few. It's your host, Omar here. And today we get to hear the incredible story of none other than Lisa Nichols. Known as the founder of Motivating the Masses and Motivating the Teen Spirit, Lisa has built a phenomenal multi-million-dollar empire, encouraging and empowering people all over the world to go for their dreams, no matter where they come from. And Lisa's story actually starts out, as you'll find out in this interview, from very humble beginnings, as Lisa grew up with not a lot of money in Inglewood, California, and dealt with racism and tons of adversities that wound her up being the subject of a lot of challenges, both here in Los Angeles, but also when she went to university in Oregon. And it was through that experience where Lisa developed an insight into her passion for wanting to serve the world in a meaningful way, and took that passion and has since leveraged a rock bottom situation where one day she found herself having to be on government assistance, but also dealing with the reality that she couldn't afford to pay for Pampers for her son Jelani. And it was at that very moment, combined with the fact that her significant other had gotten sentenced to 20 years in prison, that Lisa decided to take a hold of her life and change it forever. And since that moment, Lisa has never looked back. To date, she's become a 7-time best-selling author, is a world-renowned public speaker, and has also been known as one of the foremost experts on the planet in the law of attraction and allowing people to manifest abundance in their lives through getting clarity, taking action, and truly committing to make their life a masterpiece. So I want to encourage you guys to sit back, relax, and enjoy this powerful interview. It talks not only about how to make your life work, but also how to turn any tragedy into triumph with none other than Lisa Nichols. Enjoy. Hey guys, welcome to this episode of The Passionate Few. Today we have a very special episode because we have none other than the queen herself, the CEO of Motivating the Masses, Miss Lisa Nichols. Thanks for being on the show today, Lisa.
It's my pleasure. I'm excited to be here with you. Thank you for coming and joining me in my home.
Absolutely. And first off, I want to say that right off the bat, your role in The Secret about the law of attraction is something that radically shifted my life years ago. So to think that it's been manifested to this very moment is incredibly exciting, and I'm excited to reach as many people as possible today. So thank you so much for your time and your beautiful home today.
You're welcome. It says a lot about who you decided to become. You know, you don't land in this space after watching someone in personal development on television in a classroom.
Right,
So
yes.
I hear. And then end up sitting beside me in my home without making a definite, non-negotiable, radical,
Yes.
no matter what decision. So congratulations to you.
Thank you so much for your role in that as well.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Honored.
So let's get right into it. We know that you've reached millions of lives at this stage, but your life wasn't always so awesome. So talk to me a little bit about your childhood, where you grew up. Inglewood, California is where your roots are.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about your childhood and where this whole journey began.
Well, it's funny you should ask that, because in 2007, when I was called by the Harpo Inc. company, Oprah's company, and they said, now that you know about the law of attraction, how is your life really amazing? And they were looking for just the amazing. And I said, well, before I tell you that, in order for you to really know how amazing my life was, you have to first know what a mess it used to be, because it's all relative, right? I have an amazing mom and dad, amazing family, like a tight, close family. But I realized all the closeness in the world, all the nurturing in the world doesn't make up or create self-esteem.
True.
And I found myself, we're raised between the Harlem Crip 30s and the Rolling 60s. I had about 3 fights a week to get home from school. My parents didn't know about all of them.
Really?
Yeah, I remember when I was 15, one of my teachers asked me, Lisa, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I looked at her and I said, alive. And when I get to 21, ask me again, because then I've achieved my first goal. And that was my reality. I remember having to choose to fight the gangs if I'm going to be in the gangs, or fight my parents if I'm going to be in the gangs, or fight the gangs if I'm not going to be in the. I just had it. That was just our life. It was normal to me. And so, my mom and my dad worked really hard, but it was always a hustle and a struggle. I didn't really see the hustle and the struggle because they did an amazing job.
Right.
But looking back on it, was a hustle and a struggle. Being in dark mocha skin, full lips, round hips, this kinky hair, way before it was a fashion statement, way
Right.
before it was on the cover of magazines.
Before it was unique.
Right,
Yeah,
before it was, your individual expression of self. I had it,
Yeah.
So when people talk about, oh my God, your lips are beautiful, I say, yeah, but try having these in second grade. It wasn't fun.
Yeah.
I was told when I was the first class of bus students to the Valley out of Los Angeles. And I remember this boy used to always say, God left you in the oven too long.
Wow.
And
Oh
I
my
remember
God.
going home wondering, why was I the mistake? And the next day I come back to school and he goes, Lisa, God dropped you in the tar pit. And so at a certain point in time, I began to think where I was raised was wrong.
Wow.
Not having enough money, the skin I was in was wrong, the hair, everything about me was wrong. So even with great parents and a great family, my self-esteem spiraled down. And but on the outside, it all looked good. I was a captain of the track team. I was, editor of the yearbook. I was in student council. I was commissioner of spirit. I mean, on the outside, I had mastered very early on how to be busy and projecting joy while not necessarily having it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
At that age, did you consciously register that or not? It was just a way for you to save face and get to the next day.
It was survival. I always believe that there's unconscious competence happening before conscious competence kicks in.
True.
And my unconscious competence was saying, buckle down, grin, bear it, smile through it, make it happen. You can get to the other side. But I didn't know. I ran track as an athlete as a way to not have to be at home between 3 and 6, because my dad said I couldn't be at home between 3 and 6.
Let me ask you this. Was part of your motivation of being physically active to get away from things you were dealing with? Or was it your desire to achieve? Do you get what I'm saying?
I absolutely get what you're saying. It was to not have to go home at
Yeah.
3 p.m. Because two things happened. Either I got in trouble by getting jumped by a gang on the way home, because everybody's waiting at 3 o'clock for everyone to get out of school. Or my dad said that he read some statistic that said most girls get pregnant between 3 and 6 p.m. Don't know where he got it from.
Yeah.
But I was a latchkey kid.
Yeah.
And so for whatever reason, sports was my protection. So I didn't go into sports because I loved running cross country, or I loved softball, or I loved being a hurdler. I went there because it was supervised, it was safe, and it kept me in one place until my dad can come get me after school, all the way through high school, all the way through 12th grade. I ended up being a state champion.
Yeah.
I held the 330 low hurdle record at my high school for 18 years, so I became a beast at it. But it was a point of survival as well.
What did running teach you also about life?
Ooh, running taught me so many things. So running is a solo sport. So I'm on a team, but I got to carry my own load. I gotta come out the blocks myself. I got to cross the finish line myself. And I'm going to help the team, but I got to do my own lifting all day, every day. And in track, and I ran hurdles. So hurdles and track, you come out the blocks, you can fall.
Right.
And the coach never said, oh, you fell? Go on, lay down. Stay there. The first thing he would yell was, get up. So oftentimes, years later, I lean back on my track. I swam competition for 7 years.
Wow.
I did synchronized swimming for 5 years.
In high school, or this was after?
This was before. This
Wow.
was when I was 12 and I was 9. The pool was free babysitting, because I can go to the pool for a quarter and stay there for 8 hours. And so my mom would give me $1 a day. And I would take that dollar and take a quarter and get in the pool for 8 hours. I'd take 35 cents and I'd buy the big bag of, that stale cheese popcorn.
Yeah.
And the balance, I would be able to get 2 cheeseburgers and some water with.
Damn, so you had a system going
I
on
had
there.
a system at 12 with $1.
Yeah.
And so I became a swim athlete, and I swam competition for 7 years and did synchronized swimming. So sports was my safe haven. Sports was the babysitter. Sports was the distraction. Sports was it was my safe haven. And then as I got older, I would first of all, I never got a grade higher than a C+.
Really?
12 years in school, I never got a grade higher than a C+.
So the world famous Lisa Nichols never got higher than a C+.
You want to really hear something? The
Let's
world
hear it.
famous Lisa Nichols got a fail the last time I took English. And my English teacher told me that was the weakest writer. She said, you have to be the weakest writer I've ever met in my entire life. And she said it in front of the entire class.
And now you're a world-class best-selling author.
Times 7 books, but who's counting? But I was a weak writer, actually. I didn't know where to put the comma. I didn't know where to put the period. I didn't put a period until I finished my thought. And who even created semicolons? Like, what boring dude created semicolons and colons? Like, who sits around? Well, anyway, so that's my opinion. So I wasn't good at grammar. I hate to think I was the weakest writer she ever met. And then the same year, my speech teacher gave me a D- in speech and told me that I should get a desk job and never speak in public. So I struggled in school for 12 years. Highest grade was a C+. And if you ever repeat this story, say C+. Don't forget my plus. To the A students, a plus don't matter. To a C student, a plus matters.
Yeah, every percent counts.
Man, was it 79% or was it 80%? It matters.
Yeah.
And so,
can we round up perhaps?
Exactly. I was always praying for the grading curve. And I struggled. And my father knew when I brought home a C, and my mom, that I had done my best. I didn't know until I was in my 20s that I was functionally dyslexic.
Really?
Never knew. Who knows that that's not tested for?
Yeah.
I was
particularly at that time, yeah.
Yeah, I was just slow. I kept saying, I just need you to repeat it again. And then may I repeat it back to you? And the teacher's like, come on, Jake, just get it. And you're slowing the class down.
So you needed essentially to have it like a back and forth,
Absolutely.
like learn it, which kind of leaks into coaching.
Yeah.
And obviously you've transformed many lives in that space. So did you probably learn that then, the nuances of actually taking the time to learn lessons, to
Absolutely.
hear people out? Because it's interesting, in the education system, it's very much, they teach a lesson, there's 30 students, they get it, homework due tomorrow.
One and done, one way. We teach
Exactly.
one way, play in the sandbox one way. So now I call it 360 teaching and 360 learning.
What does that mean to you?
That means I always say my dyslexia is my superpower, because now I'll teach it forward and then I'll reverse it for you. you know, but it's saying, here's what I told you. Tell me what you heard.
Yeah.
Let me show you where we're going, and then let me reverse engineer it for you. So I'm a super, incredibly thorough teacher.
And patient.
Patient, because I struggled as a learner. And I was embarrassed about that for a long time. I was embarrassed about the type of student I was, because it was the best. It was my best, and it was so subpar.
Did you feel insecure at that time?
Absolutely.
So you wanted A's, you were trying to get A's?
Absolutely, and all my friends were getting A's.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm good at running, why can't I get good at that?
I hung with kids who, like, I wasn't with the guys who were behind the building getting high. That wasn't my truth. I was with the cheerleaders and the athletes and the I call them the app kids. I don't know what app meant. I was like, what is app? Is that, nowadays it would be something on my phone, but
AP,
the AP, right? I didn't know that AP meant advanced placement. I just hung out with the app kids. I didn't know what app meant. And so they were all applying to 6 and 7 colleges. And here I was not even knowing if I would, like, I knew I was going to graduate, because a lot of people thought I was really nice. So I know I passed math. I passed math because I was nice. I mean, my teacher was like, look, you tried hard. And I really did.
You got by on character.
Right?
Yeah.
You get by on effort. You get and I was grateful. I didn't say, no, I should earn it. No, thank you.
I'll take it.
Let me
Let's
out of
go.
this place. Please let me out of this place.
Yeah.
And And so I didn't have a lot of opportunities to go to college. I wasn't in, I wasn't in the 3.5 and above. I was struggling to get my 3.0, and so I was accepted to one college, and that's where my English teacher failed me, and that's where my speech teacher gave me a D minus, and that's also where the words Black, BITCH, go home was written on my door, my dorm room door. And I don't tell this story often, so there must be someone who needs to get through a sense of healing and forgiveness, because this is not about the horrificness of the story. This is about the character that it planted in me. Black, BITCH, go home was written on my door. Cat feces was put in front of my door.
No way.
A bucket of water was poured over my head. Now, this was the same year that the '84 Olympics was in Los Angeles. And so I had gone from being a high school selected Olympic participant. I didn't run in the Olympics, but I worked with the athletes.
Wow.
So when the Olympic athletes took their clothes off and put their clothes in the basket, I was the girl who picked up the basket for them. I was very prideful. I was so proud about my job, because only two people were allowed in the tunnel, the athletic tunnel, and that was the athlete and the basket girl. And that was me. Yeah. Pop my collar right now. And
what school was it where you encountered
Dorsey High. Dorsey High was my high school that I went to. And the college, which I won't name their college, I'm going to pray that they've evolved. But the college was in Oregon.
Okay.
And I didn't know. I came from LA. I came during the Olympics. It was black, brown, white. It was everywhere. It was Norway and Africa and China and Korea and everywhere. And then I go to, this small school, 1,500 students, and there's 15 African-American students there. And it was cold, wet, and white. And here I come in with my Olympic jacket on, and I was met for the first time. I saw myself through other people's eyes in a very intense way. And, or should I say for the second time. The first time was when I was the first class of bus students. And Brian would tell me that I was dropped in the tar pit by God. And the second time, very intrusive, was when I went off to college, ready to go get my education at 18. And I was met with cat feces at my front door and my dorm room door, and a bucket of water poured over my head. And I kept saying, what? I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it. And I went to college wondering what sport I was going to run that Saturday. I left college wondering, how will I bridge the gap in humanity? Because this is unacceptable. And I remember, it's so funny how you hold on to things and they make sense later. I remember wondering, why was everyone attacking me, but they weren't messing with the other Black students? And it was because they would make little jokes. And when they would make jokes, I go, excuse me, do you know that's a racist joke? Just so they would be aware.
Yeah, just a great consciousness.
Just to be aware, because you may not know, and apparently you want to be friends with us because we're sitting in the same circle, but you might not know that you tell someone else that you might be in danger. I'm just saying.
Just keeping it real.
I'm just keeping it real. And so the Black students start calling me Sister Soldier and not wanting to be around me.
Really?
And the white students said that I was never aggressive, never lifted a hand, never threatened to lift a hand. I literally would inform. But that was intrusive.
There wasn't even a smidge of like a little anger in there. It was just...
Oh, there was a lot of anger. I just said I didn't lift my hand. Did I want to backhand them? Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the jokes that was said was, what are the two most popular bunnies in the world? And the girl was laughing really hard, and I said, I don't know. Everyone's laughing. We're all laughing. It's about 8 of us, maybe about 10 of us, about 4 African Americans, and then other nationalities. And she said, what are the 2 most popular bunnies in the world? And we're, what? And she's laughing. She said, the Easter bunny and the jungle bunny. And we didn't get it. I'm like, well, what's a jungle bunny? She was like, that's a nickname for a Black person. I said, that's not my nickname. No. And so then I would just say, you can't do that. And then the whole room would go, want, and it was my fault.
Yeah.
And so
So
after,
always felt like you're
yeah,
sort of alone.
I was an
or-
outcast. I was an absolute outcast in college.
Which probably fueled you for later, in retrospect, right?
Absolutely,
You
but it
probably
was
see how
so
that-
painful. I never forget. I would sit up. I wait till everyone was asleep, and I would call my friend in California at night, and I'd just sit on the phone and cry. And she said, "Why don't you just tell your parents you want to come home?" I said, "Because I just believe that God brought me here for a reason, that I'm supposed to see something. I'm supposed to gain something. I'm supposed to get something." She's like, "But look how sad you are." I said, "But it's okay. I just think one day," now I'm 18, I think one day I'm going to use this. And I remember going to the one Black counselor in the school. And I told him, they're dumping water on my head. They're putting cat feces. This particular time what made me go to him is I'd gone into a Burger King with my roommate. And I was the first, and I've never told this story ever, have I, Margaret? I don't tell this story, so it must be time.
It's an honor to share it on the Passionate Few.
Yeah, it
with
must
us.
be time. My roommate had never seen a Black person in real life before.
Wow, really?
It's true.
Yeah.
She had never seen a Black person. So like the first month we were in the room together, she didn't know what to do. She would just sit and watch me and
You could sense that awkwardness. Yeah,
yeah, it was the obvious awkward. She'd only looked at Sanford and Son, Good Times, The Jeffersons, Different
A
Strokes,
bunch of stereotypes, yeah.
and none of which showed independent Black people like my family, you know? And so she would whisper with another friend of ours, wasn't my friend at the time, "Look, they use the same lotion. Look, they use the same brush. Look, they use," and finally one day I got really tired of it. And I did a little something, probably not able to show on this show.
Oh, let's share. Give us a little hint, a little something.
Well, let's just say it included me kind of pulling down my pants and what some would call mooning her. And I'd say, "You see a split, not a tail." And I just told her, "Look,
Wow.
I have this exact same thing you have." And I went on, pulled up my pants and said, "When I get up in the morning, I brush my teeth. When I get tired at night, I go to sleep. You know, I'm not an animal. I'm not an object. I'm a person. And so don't they me.
I'm a human being.
I'm a
just like
human
you.
being." And she had little baby locks on she had little baby locks on her drawers and on her closet. And I said, "Hold on. Look at my closet. I have leather and suede and and argyle and cashmere. Why would I want your clothes? Is it that you think I'm a thief or you think we're a thief?" And so we got past that and actually became really close friends.
Wow, it's beautiful.
And I realized it was ignorance, not judgment.
Right.
And there's a distinction between ignorance and judgment. And I think that's why I had to stay there, because I kept being drawn to the ignorance. I wasn't drawn to the judgment. And so I went to my counselor and I said, and truly, if you want to serve people, you want to feed ignorance.
Right.
You don't want to judge ignorance. You don't want to react to ignorance. Now, to prejudice, that's a different thing.
Right, yeah.
And so very early on, I began to ask, what's the distinction between prejudice and ignorance?
Which is very important because it takes a certain level of maturity to acknowledge that instead of just reacting. Because then you're not going to help anybody.
Exactly.
They're ignorant. They don't know.
Exactly.
Good people can be ignorant.
And they've crossed my path.
Right.
And so this could be my chance
To be an example.
to replace ignorance. And you just said a key word, example. When I tell you at 18, I felt the weight of being an example for my culture, for women, for people who come from a little bit of nothing. I felt the weight, and I refer to it now as a calling. Then it just felt like a weight. I went to my counselor. My counselor said, why is this happening to me? And he said, "Lisa, you have more bruises at 18. You have more bruises on your chin, your nose, and your forehead because apparently you've been given an assignment to pay the way. And if you don't want to pave that way, if you don't want those bruises, then you have to go follow somebody. But if you're going to make a new path, if you're going to make a path where a path does not exist, then be ready for the bruises on your chin, your nose, and your forehead. And at the time, I just called him a jerk.
Yeah, a weirdo.
Like, dude,
yeah.
I don't get it. Like, that was some kind of motivational talk. Like,
some pseudo-science
right. Like,
motivation,
that was good for nothing.
Yeah.
And
which is funny because now you probably share that with millions of people.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But what I have been smart enough to do over my career, I won't even say my career, over my lifetime. Because in my 20s, I've always been feisty. I've always been strong. I've always been resistant. I could be defensive. I'm just a leader. So if I don't believe in what you're saying, ain't nothing happening, right? And so in my 20s, I was just ignorance on fire. Like, rah, just let's do this. I don't even know what we're doing, but let's do it.
Let's fire away.
Exactly, fire away. I would run really hard into a wall. But whatever I did hard. So even at 18, I didn't agree with them, but I put it in my back pocket. I was smart enough to put things, even if I didn't understand, I put it in my back pocket and go,
store it. Yeah.
I'm gonna store that, and I'm gonna see where that goes. And so I get kicked out of college. I get kicked out of college my second year because I didn't want to continue to run track. I took my team undefeated the first year.
Wow.
And they went from not having won a track meet in 2 years at all to going undefeated in 1 year.
If you could attribute what allowed you to lead the team to do that in one or two insights, what would it be?
I had unwavering confidence.
Did you cultivate that, or was it natural? Was it cultivated at home, or was it personally cultivated?
My dad and my mom, they I don't know if it was brainwashed or encouraged me. I could do anything.
Yeah.
Like opposition didn't scare me. It never have scared me. Like, I don't look at how big the mountain is if I can climb it. I go, are we gonna climb it? And what do we need to climb that size mountain? You don't measure if I can do something based on the size of the opposition. You decide we're going to do it and then decide what to do for that particular scenario. Very different strategy.
Yeah, which is very interesting. And I want people watching this to pay attention to that because, and correct me if you're in agreement with it, but I think what you're really saying is that it's not about building an emotional judgment as to how big or intimidating the goal or the vision is. It's really just a matter of what do you want and then how are we going to get there? What are the tactical steps? And forget about the big scariness of it. If we just put one foot in front of the other, that's how anybody's going to get there, and that's how we are too.
It's where energy grows where energy goes. You know that. It's where am I going to put my energy? I'm going to put my energy on me. I'm a good bet. I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm not saying I'm perfect. Please don't get those mistaken. But I'm a good bet. I'm not going to always give the return that I thought I would, but I'm a good bet. I'm not going to stop until we get something done. And having that resolution, that you stop walking with, can we? Like, I'm not asking permission from my life. Can I do that? No. Is it responsible? Is it fiscally responsible? Does it serve others in the world? Does it leave this world a better place? Do we want it? Now let's go figure out the how. So people combine the what with the how, and they let the how define if they're going to do it.
Yes.
See, it's two separate yeses. Do you want to do this thing? If you want to do this thing, let's do this thing. Now, how are we going to do that?
Yeah.
Like, so I would hear people tell me early on that I had a lot of potential. And I got to tell you, that word would drive me crazy.
Yeah, you're like, what?
It would drive me crazy. Potential told me you're going to be someone really amazing.
One day.
And off in the future. But right now, like, you're so loser.
Yeah.
You're so like a version of yourself. And so I wanted to constantly begin to see who can I be. I was tired of people saying, oh, you got a light butt. Oh, you could be a good speaker, but. Oh, you have good words, but you're a weak writer. You should be a good speaker, but your conversation's too edgy. I got a D- in speech because he said my conversation was too edgy. No, I just got the wrong teacher.
Amen,
I got the wrong teacher. So who I am is a change agent. I am a disruptor. That's what I've been designed to be, as a disruptor. Not in a disrespectful way, in a way that doesn't make you feel good, but in a way that makes you challenge and question and look at who you're being in the world and how can you be bigger, greater, bolder. And I didn't know I was a disruptor. I was just disruptive. And if you don't understand who you are, you'll buy into who other people say you are.
Right.
So when people told me my problem, see, what you need to work on, Lisa, is you need to work on knowing when to be quiet. You need to work on not walking into a room and sucking up all the oxygen. You need to work on, I had a list of all the things I need to work on, but I never had a list of who I could be.
Yes.
Based on this person, who can I be? And so I began to study. And let me tell you how I began to study. Because some of your best gifts will come wrapped in sandpaper. Some of your biggest blessings will come wrapped in betrayal. Will come wrapped in abandonment. Will come wrapped in judgment. Some of your biggest gifts. But if you don't keep unwrapping the thorns, you don't keep pulling back the nails, you'll never get to the gift.
You don't keep unwrapping.
If you don't keep
No matter how
unwrapping,
much you get bruised
you don't
up.
keep unwrapping all the discomfort, you don't keep digging into the center, you'll never get to it. So I said I was a studier, right? Let me tell you how it started. I was sitting in Burger King at
How old are you at this time?
19. I'm 19 with this roommate. It's the next year.
What's her name?
Her name is Deborah.
Deborah.
And I haven't seen her since high school. Deborah, where are you? I love you. I was sitting in Burger King, and we didn't have any money. It was December 18th, 1984. I'm sitting in Burger King. We have no money. We bought our last food. I'm about to go home on December 20th.
What did you order?
I ordered a Whopper. The Whopper meal with cheese, fries, and I got lemonade. And she ordered the same because it was buy one, get the other one half off. And so she didn't have a choice because I was paying. So you're going to get the half off part. And I'm sitting there, and we're in a little town, a very small town in Oregon. And I knew the town was racist. So we didn't go off campus often.
And you would always feel that energy when you would go out into the city?
Yeah, it was pretty palatable. It wasn't, and I was foreign to that. I'm in LA. I'm born and raised in LA.
Yeah.
I'm foreign to this.
Did you have anybody there that was also sort of in that with you, in that experience with you, or were you kind of more alone just because of the nature of the roommate in college and your own classes?
Yeah, I wasn't super close to the other
Gotcha.
Black students because I was Sister Soldier. Remember, I'm Sister
right,
Soldier.
yeah.
So that was established in the first 2 months that I was a rebel. I'm rebel, right? I'm rebel. I was. They nicknamed me, Angela Davis, and I was the new Black Panther, and I really.
Part of you probably enjoyed it a little bit, right?
I didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with that.
Like cool, let's roll. Yeah.
Speak up for something. Speak up for something, or don't ever complain. So if I'm gonna speak up, and my speaking up for what's not right has you label me Black Panther, Angela Davis, what a Sister Soldier, whatever. Put it on my tombstone. I'm cool with that. So I was ostracized. I had a couple of them were my friends, but not a whole lot. So it's really me and Debbie lock and loaded. And so I'm sitting there, and this guy is sitting at the table directly kind of in front of us, and we're sitting there having. And I'm in your seat, she's in my seat. I'll never forget this. And he's mumbling things, and his mumbling is getting louder. And when I get up to go get ketchup, he gets up and he kind of brushes me away. And I go, oh, okay. He's prejudiced. He's an older guy. Like he was really old,
right.
Like 35.
Yeah. Yeah, 19, that was like 80.
He was really old, like 35.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this dude is prejudiced, whatever. And I come back and I sit down, and his mumbling gets louder. Because I didn't buy into his you didn't take the bait. I didn't engage. I didn't take the bait. So all of a sudden he hits the table, and he just points. He goes, "You black nigger, you nigger B," and he just starts calling me all these names. And he goes, "If it wasn't for that college, you niggers wouldn't be here. You're animals. You're so violent." And I'm seeing red. I'm like, oh my God, I am going to make this man pay for the cat feces in front of my door, the black BITCH go home written on my door, the water. I'm about to make this man. And I sized him up. He was about 5'7". I could take him down.
Yeah, I have a shot. Yeah.
I had 3'5". I had more than a shot because he didn't have my anger.
Yeah.
Right. And he didn't have my background. I practiced 3 days a week on how to fight. Right.
They're from Inglewood.
Right.
Yeah.
And I hadn't lifted my hand to anyone. This entire time with the cat feces and all the stuff that happened, I didn't lift my hand to anyone.
Building up and building up.
It was so there. And then I didn't tell my parents. So I didn't have an outlet. I didn't know so I was just steaming. I was right here.
Yeah.
It was one of those wrong day, wrong time, wrong person. I'm about to just absolutely haul off on you. And so I remember getting up and picking up the back of the chair, picking up the chair. And all I was thinking was, I'm going to bust this chair over his head. And then I'm going to bust out all those windows. And I'm going to tell my dad it's because he called me the N word. And my dad's going to say, okay, baby, I'm going to write the check. I thought my dad had endless money at the time, by the way. So I knew my reaction was going to be justified. And I had witnesses. And so I pick up the chair. And as I pick up the chair and I'm talking to myself, I hear, as clear as day, I hear Spirit tell me, I call him God, call him whatever you choose. I hear God tell me, do not confirm his belief system. I am going to use you in a mighty way. And I'm struggling. No, God, no, I want to bust him in the head. I want to do my route. That's all. And I'd never heard the karma spirit. I'd never heard God. I'd never heard anything like that. I just heard about God through my grandmother and through my mother. I never had a direct, and I could hear Spirit saying, do not do this. You are going to confirm what this man believes. I am going to use you in a mighty way. And I'm standing there with the chair in the air going, because I gotta bow down. Yeah. And the last thing I want to do is bow down to you.
Of course.
That's what my ego was engaged, right? And my humanity and my human spirit was already being engaged as well. So here I got my ego on this side and my human spirit on this side, much like all of us.
Right.
And they're in conflict. And so finally I just set the chair down and I looked at the guy and I said, nigger, the definition of nigger is an ignorant person. You, sir, are a nigger. I'm not. And he picked up a chair and threw it, not toward me, but he just threw a chair and walked out.
Wow.
And I went back to my college, and there was an American Lit professor there, and she had been watching me. Because I would always raise my hand in class whenever they taught something that didn't sound right. Like when a white woman got raped by a black slave, she was no longer considered pure white. She was now something. And I would raise my hand and go, well, that doesn't seem right, because that makes it seem like we're contaminated. I would just question things. And I was just inquiring because we're in school and I should be able to inquire. And the professor, she was teaching with another professor, he would always say, Lisa, please don't ask another question.
And you were never too shy to be like, oh, I don't want to embarrass myself in front of the other kids. Keep raising my hand.
I need to know. Because if I'm going to walk with this in my future, I need to know. Can you tell me your source so I can go look it up? Because this seems, I was always a
direct.
I was always, and I didn't mind the edge. And so this professor took a liking to me, but she never spoke up for me, right? She never supported me. She would just let the lead professor teach. And so one day she told me she wanted to talk to me. She pulled me in her office and she closed the door and she says, Lisa, I just want to let you know that I admire you. I admire that you question everything. I admire that you, and I'm 18. When I met her, I was 18. When I was 19 is when the Burger King happened. But I met her earlier and I had no tact at the time. I said, you're not impressing me by pulling me in your safe office, closing your big door, and telling me that you admire me. If you admire me, answer some of my questions in class with the other 55 students who are learning some things. And I walked out.
Just like that. Drop the mic.
I was such a roughneck.
Who are your influences at that time fueling you to do this? Or was this just in you?
It was just in me. It was LA, the streets of LA, right? You know? But get this, the next year, when this guy says these horrible things to me, December 18th, I go back to my dorm with my roommate, and I tell my roommate, I need you to move out for 2 days because I don't know if I like white people. Because some of the worst things that have happened to me have happened at your hands. So I need you to move out. I leave on the 20th. I need you to move out until the 20th. Now, I'm telling you this story because, of course, look at who I am today and what I do, right?
Yeah, of course.
Of course, and all that makes me who I am, right? But I don't know this at the time. So I go over to this American Lit professor's because I knew she was intrigued with me.
Right.
I knew she wanted to get to know me, and I didn't want to get to know her, but I was kind of interested that she was interested in me.
Open, yeah.
Right. I was just kind of like, well, why is she so interested in me? And I go into her office and I slam the door, and I was just a whirlwind of whatever. I slammed the door and I look her dead in the face and I said, Malcolm X says you're the devil, and Martin Luther King says you're my brothers and sisters. I came here believing Martin, but I'm starting to believe Malcolm. You better talk. She said, what? What happened? And then I tell her, and I burst into tears. I tell her about this horrific man, and I tell her about the things that he said to me. And this woman started my journey. She started pulling books off the shelf. Maya Angelou, Ida B. Wells, Shirley Chisholm, just all of these beautiful, Mary McLeod Bethune, just beautiful Black women who had achieved great things. And she would tell me things about them. I thought she was this professor's assistant. This woman is like the lead American lit professor in the state.
Incredible.
And she's just sitting in on his class observing, which is why she couldn't say anything to me, right? And she said, this is who you are. This is who you are. You are brilliant. You are mobile. You are caring. You're full of faith. You're full of love, your family. She said, don't you ever. She said, and she gave me a stack of books. She goes, read these. This is who you are. And no one gets to take that away from you. I've been watching you because this is what she said, because I believe you're one of these women in the making. And I'm just fascinated to see the young version of her.
Wow. What did that feel like?
I didn't understand that.
Really?
I didn't understand it. I was 19. I didn't understand.
How does it feel now?
Now it's like, oh my God. Like I know that they're divine appointments. You cannot tell me that they're not divine appointments on people who have crossed your path to either teach you boundaries, to help you get comfortable with your no, to help you try out your yes, to help you understand what it feels like to love. They're not supposed to stay in your life forever, but they're divine appointments in your life. This woman spoke life into me. She spoke my future. That counselor, he spoke my future. Like, I felt like I just had these people that just, even some of the men that I dated that said, I am not worthy of a woman like you because you're going to be used in a big way and I would get in your way. And at the time I go, loser, sorry excuse for a dude.
Right.
And now I go, thank you. Thank you for sitting with that intuitive insight. And so this woman, she started this quest of me seeing who I am beyond LA boundaries, beyond this college, beyond my professor's judgment of me. And then like several months later, she pulled a lot of strings and got into a lot of trouble and had Angela Davis come to my college and speak. And I remember Angela Davis's speech faintly, but what I remember more is she asked for me and I sat with her privately.
Is that Angela Davis?
Yes, because this professor arranged it because she saw I was a little baby Angela Davis. Yes. And I'm sitting in front of Angela Davis. I'm like, and they put cat feces in front of my door and they said, Black B-I-G-C-H, go home. And what are we going to do? What are we going to do, Miss Davis? And I'm ready for like the Black Panther, pull up.
Let's do this.
And she said, and what's been your response so far? I said, I just wanted to show them that our minds were the same. I didn't want to respond with violence, Miss Davis, because that's easy to do. I want to show them that we can think this through. We can work this out. And I said, but that's not working. Let's do something else. She goes, and you thought that? I said, I did. And she said something. Took all the anger out of my balloon. Because I was still angry. She said, if you lift one hand and you fight the way we fought, then our fight was in vain. And I dare not wanted their fight to be in vain. I didn't want anybody's struggle to be in vain. And so I immediately knew right then that I had to find a new path. And she said, it's intellectual. You keep that path. And here I am, 19. I got a big pimple. And right in the middle of my head, and I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm lonely, and none of the Black kids are really my friends, and the white kids are not really my friends.
For answers.
I'm looking for answers. I'm trying to, my body, I have this amazing body, but no maturity to go with it. So all this attention from guys, and I'm mistaking lust for love. And when someone says, I love you, I'm believing them and forgetting that it's just a part of the journey.
Right.
And so all this stuff is happening, And this woman drops this nugget in my space, and she said, I believe that you are part of the solution. Go find out how. 19.
Jeez.
Divine appointments. Never saw her. I've never seen her again to this day. Wow. And people always say, why don't you go talk to her? I'm like, I'm nervous. I want to achieve enough. They're like, duh, I think you've achieved some things. I think you're good on that. And so,
wow.
So I got kicked out of college because I didn't want to run anymore. And
how old were you when you got kicked out?
That year, 19. I didn't just get kicked out. The athletic director, because they really wanted me to stay because I was changing the game for them, he said, you are disrespectful and you don't appreciate authority. And I left his office and went to class. And when I got back from class, the locks on my dorm room door had been changed. And all of my clothes had been packed up and boxed in the admin office. And he wouldn't let anyone else give them to me. I had to go to him. It was like his bow down in front of me.
Yeah, of course.
Scenario. Yeah. And so I snuck and stayed in school for 3 more days until my meal pass was cut off. And
wow.
I had $152. And it cost $150 to catch a one-way ticket home from Oregon. And I went to the airport. And I told the taxi driver I didn't have enough money to pay him because I had $152. And the taxi driver drove me to the airport and didn't charge me.
Wow.
And I paid $150 and had $2 left. And I cried the whole way home because I knew I'd let my family down. I was the first person in my family to go into a 4-year university. And now I'm coming home. And my dad was on a business trip. We didn't have cell phones at the time. So I sat on my front porch for 8 hours until our landlord came home to let me in. 2 days later, when my dad came home, I told him that I was kicked out of college because I wouldn't run track, and he called the college, and the college said she was here on an athletic scholarship, and if she won't run, she can't stay. And so that was the end of my college. I never went back. I went to a vocational school, and I remember when my speech teacher told me that I should never speak in public, I should get a desk job. So when I went to the vocational school, I studied accounting because then I didn't have to talk to anybody.
Yeah, you just look at numbers, get a job, play it secure, yeah.
Yep. For the next 9 years, I looked at numbers and I never spoke up.
Wow.
And every day I felt like a little piece of me died away.
Really?
Every
so
day.
For almost a decade, you feel like you have something in you, but you just can't let it out, or it's suppressed inside.
Because authority told me I shouldn't do it.
And then going into your 20s, then obviously financially you weren't in the best situation then, correct?
No, when I was in my later 20s, I was working in finance. I moved over and did a few other things in customer service. I got pregnant with my son. And at the time, I was working for a nonprofit, and the nonprofit lost its medical coverage. And when I was 8 months pregnant, I had to get on government assistance. And I remember standing in the government line on Century Boulevard. And I remember this one particular scene. I had to go to the restroom, and I went into the restroom, and my stomach was really big, and the floor was covered in something liquid. I don't know what it was, whether it was urine or water. And I didn't have a place to put my purse down. I couldn't hold my purse while I went to the restroom, and my stomach was really big. And I just remember crying out in the bathroom, God, this cannot be my life. How am I in the government's assistance office on Century Boulevard pregnant by myself? How? This is not who I was supposed to be. This is not the teenager. This is not the young adult. How can I be here? This is not This is not me. It's not who I am. My lifestyle isn't congruent with my heart. My life experience isn't congruent with my tenacity. My life experience isn't congruent with my determination. Nothing on the outside is congruent with anything happening on the inside. It's just not who I am. This doesn't match me. I remember crying that out in the bathroom. Just crying out to God. You got to show me why I'm here. You got to show me how to get out. And I remember I walked out the bathroom and I walked out the bathroom and I got in line. And when I got to the front of the line, I asked the clerk to look up at me because I just needed someone to see me. And, sorry, hold on. I don't talk about all this often.
Oh, this is beautiful what you're sharing.
I can count the number of times on one hand with fingers left over that I've told this story. But I always, back to the word obedient. I'm always obedient with what needs to be told in the moment. And I think a lot of people think they know all my stories. They just know the ones I've chosen to tell them.
Right.
When I got to the line, I needed her to look up at me. I needed the clerk to look up at me and see me. I was in what I thought to be my all-time low. I would learn later that it wasn't my all-time low. I would go lower than that. But I needed her to see me. So as I walked to the desk, I said, "Excuse me, ma'am, could you look up at me?" She said, No, ma'am, just hurry up. Can you fill out the form? And I said, "Ma'am, could you look up at me? I just need to tell you something." She said, "Ma'am, I need you to just hurry up. I got a lot of people in line. I don't have time for this. And I just hit the table. I said, "Ma'am, could you look at me? I need to tell you something." And she startled and looked up. And I said, "My name is Lisa Nichols. And I won't be on the county for long. I don't know how many people you help and they stay on for years and years, but I just need a bridge over my troubled waters. And I'm going to be a good investment. And I just wanted you to see my face when I told you that. Now, where would you like me to sign?"
Wow.
And I found myself constantly making those kind of declarations over and over again when I go into the valley in the darkness, I'd make a declaration because it was a part of the, if I could see up, then I can get up. If I can see a piece of light, then I can walk toward the light. And I always would say, the light is a light. It's not a train. It's really light. That's what I'm going to tell myself. It's really light. And so I hit rock bottom multiple times in my life, if I have to call it something. When Jelani was born,
Which is your son?
my son, my beautiful son, who's in his 20s now, when he was born, 8 months after he was born, 2 devastating things happened. One, I ran out of Pampers one day and didn't have money and was too embarrassed to call my parents. Felt like they shouldn't have to put Pampers on my child. And I sat and watched my son laying on the couch with a towel wrapped around him. And what's funny is I wrapped my son in a towel before, after I've bathed him. I wrapped him in a towel before because he was just laying naked. But I knew that day, for those 2 days, he was wrapped in a towel because I couldn't afford to put Pampers on him.
Wow.
Again, I was like, and I put my hand on his stomach and I said, "Jelani, don't worry, baby. Mommy will never be this broke again." And I knew he couldn't understand me, but I can understand me. A little bit of light, if I can look in that direction. And then within 15 days, I get a phone call. "Hello? Hey, Lisa, it's my son's father."
Wow.
Who I was still hoping we could work it out.
Right.
I never planned to have a child and raise a child on my own. So I really would like us to work it out. And I heard the words, "I'm in jail."
Man.
See, where I came from,
Yeah.
they nicknamed jail. It became Club Fed. The rich white people went to Club Med and the poor black people went to Club Fed. And so I didn't want anything to do with that.
You don't want no clubs, yeah.
No clubs. I don't want to be a part of anybody's clubs.
Yeah.
And so that was why I went and did sports after school every day.
Yes.
That's why I became an athlete. That's why I was in so many extracurricular activities and all these other, programs at school. So this would never happen. And that was the beginning of his 20-plus year sentence.
That's incredible.
As we do this interview, he's still locked up.
So at that moment, that's where you decide, I'm going to turn it all around. Was that the moment? Where was that moment where you decided?
I didn't decide to turn it around first, Omar. I decided that enough was enough first. See, the turn it around, one of my students said this, so I won't take credit for it. I will not take credit for it. Donna. Donna says that when a door closes and when a window closes and a door opens, no one tells you about the hallway. It's just brilliant. Donna, I love you. It's her. I can't take credit for it. So the first thing I said was, I'm done with this level of misery. So I didn't run toward anything first. The first thing I did was try to get as far away from chaos and scarcity and lack and procrastination and procrastinating people and making excuses, making being a single mom an excuse, or being black an excuse, or being born in LA an excuse. Not to say those things don't impede or have an impact on our ability to move forward. But I didn't want to make any one of them my crutch as to why I stayed in my hellhole. I don't know about anyone else, but my place, I didn't know where I was going, but I knew where I was leaving. And so when I say to you, I didn't choose the possibility first. I just stopped choosing the chaos. See, there's a couple of there's several choices you have to make, because your answer isn't going to come with the ceiling opening and lights beaming in and a choir showing up and no, that doesn't happen like that. If the first thing is, I was sick of smelling my own crap. I was sick of hearing my own story. I was sick of wondering about my own potential. So I realized that everything I had done had gotten me where I was. And everything I didn't know was going to get me somewhere else.
Yes.
Then lies the turnaround. I began to become an explorer of what I don't know. I want to read books I'd never read. I want to hang around people that I'd never hang around. I want to know what they know. I want to have discussions about things I'd never talked about. I wanted to feed my brain something that my brain didn't know, so that my brain can tell my body to do something it never done. So then when my brain feeds my body and my body feeds my life, then I begin to have an experience that I'd never had before. It wasn't rocket science. People want to make success rocket science. Success is not rocket science. You go and find the thing that you don't know, learn the thing you don't know, and do the thing you haven't been doing, and get the life you say you want. All I wanted was unfamiliar. But you have to understand that most people don't invite in unfamiliar, because people are more committed. Hold on. People are more committed to a familiar discomfort than they are to an unfamiliar new possibility. The key words are familiar and unfamiliar. See, we want to have a new experience while having some of the same behaviors because they're familiar to us.
Yeah, they're comfortable.
They're familiar. Some of them not even comfortable. People in relationships are not even comfortable.
True.
It's just familiar. People are still at jobs that aren't even comfortable.
Yeah.
They're just familiar. So that's the crazy, is that we are more committed to a familiar discomfort than we are to an unfamiliar new possibility, because of the familiarity, not even the comfort. I became comfortable living in the discomfort of the unknown. I made myself, every day I was like, new terrain, new terrain, new terrain. But at least I wasn't in that old terrain anymore.
Yep.
And the new terrain didn't always bring me a good result.
Right.
I was ignorance on fire some days right into the wall.
Especially at first. You're bumping
Oh my
into the walls.
God.
You don't know what's going
At
on.
first,
You're learning. Yeah.
At first,
Yeah.
please, my mistakes now are 7-figure mistakes. I'm not without errors now. Now there's 7-figure errors. Trust me, I've paid the attorneys, but I'm still new terrain.
Yeah.
I'm the same woman I was at 25, at 28, at 30, new terrain. And so I began to explore what I didn't know. I surrounded myself with people who made me want to stand on my tippy toes.
Yeah.
I surrounded myself with people who made me want to be a better woman, not just in the money I made, but in the way I parented, in the way I showed up, in the way I looked at humanity. I began to be around people who respected the color of my skin and my culture. Don't forget it. Don't say we're all the same, because we're not. My journey isn't your journey because of the gender, the background, the origin, the religion. They're not the same. Right. So let's not act like we're all gray, because we're not. But can I dance in the dynamics of our diversity? See, I began to hang around people who allowed me to dance in the dynamic of our diversity. And began to find ways where we can both become better people because we sat together. I began to hang around old white men because and not every old white man, but older white men, because they seem to have had this conversation, this relationship to wealth and wealth management that I didn't have. And I didn't abandon my nationality, my culture. I want to go collect information so I can come back and open the door and keep the door open so we all can come through.
Absolutely,
Black, white, Latino, Asian, everyone, women, everyone. So I would sit at the feet of people who I wouldn't even have dinner with 10 years before.
Yes.
I would sit at the feet of people who I didn't even know if they really liked me. I'm not sure.
Yes.
I stayed in a place of constant learning and discomfort. I was the peon every day, all day. I didn't need to be the biggest fish in my pond. I would sit and I would just learn. I would sit and I would learn. I would sit and I would learn. I would sit and I would learn. And then the antidote, Joan Baez says, and my coach Susie Carter first shared this with me, that Joan Baez says the antidote for despair is action. So I said, how can I be in action? I was always looking to be in action. What else can I do? What else can I do? What else can I do? And then I go learn. What else can I do? So to me, there's a very short line between learning and doing.
Yes.
And if you haven't done anything what you learn, why are you getting more education? You haven't even applied what you, like I'm a hell of a coach now.
It's like people who read a book and they don't go apply it. They just want to read the next book.
Right. Hi. The book I read when I was in my deepest, darkest hour, Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, changed my life because I got into radical action behind it. I was like, oh, Stephen Covey talks about attending your own funeral, doing a visionary session where you attend your own funeral. And there are 4 people to speak. What will those 4 people say about you? What kind of brother were you? What kind of friend were you? What kind of social change agent were you? What kind of neighbor were you? Man, when I did that exercise, I was like, oh, I'm a nice person, but I'm not getting they're not saying the things about me that I want to be said.
Right, yes.
I'm writing my eulogy right now, Omar. I'm writing my eulogy. I'm writing my legacy. I'm not just living for now. I'm living for the 40 years from now story being told about me. I'm living for my grandchildren's story about who great-great-great-grandma was. And when you live for a lifetime, not just your life cycle, but a lifetime, you live for the legacy. I'm writing my legacy now. You won't sweat the small stuff anymore. You won't get caught up in gossip. You won't get caught up in living inside worry. You might worry, but worry does not have permission to take up real estate in your body. Worry is chased by solution and strategy.
Yes, by action, yeah.
And I always tell people, listen, I'll have every emotion like everyone else. I'll have fear, I have doubt, I have judgment, but you cannot take up real estate in my body. There's no lease options to buy in my mind. Don't lease option buy in my mind, and don't take up real estate. I got things to do. I got changes to make, and I'm not a superhero. I'm not. I'm an ordinary woman. I'm an ordinary woman who chooses every day to make one more extraordinary decision. Because if you make me an extraordinary woman, then all of a sudden you get to bow out if you don't consider yourself extraordinary.
You give yourself permission.
Right.
Lisa Nichols could do it.
She's extraordinary. Right.
Yeah.
I'm an ordinary woman who simply have made enough extraordinary decisions to have created an extraordinary life experience.
That's beautiful.
Everybody gets to do that though. There's no hookups. There's no hookups. There's no magic potion lotion. There's no sprinkle fairy dust. There's no magic wand. And there's no club. If so, I've already crashed it. You might as well come on in now.
So let me ask you this then. For people watching, they will love this. And a lot of them will say, well, maybe I'm in my own rough situation, right? For the audience at home.
Right.
Maybe they're struggling financially. Maybe
Right.
they can't afford the Pampers or the metaphor of whatever that is. Let's talk about money and actual achievement. Because although there's layers in life that are more important, there's no denying that money's integral.
It's a tool. It's a team member.
So let's talk about the mindset as it relates to the law of attraction and money. And what would Lisa Nichols' best advice be to somebody out there to get their mind right, their money right, their business right? So what's the best wisdom you've deduced about the way money flows?
So first of all, to recognize that money is a relationship. It's a relationship, and the way you relate to money is the way money relates to you. If you think there's never enough of it, then there has to never be enough money for you.
So money follows your beliefs.
Money is your money relationship, your money experience is a result of your beliefs right now.
Yes.
It is a result of your beliefs. And oh, by the way, here's the news. Your belief systems were handed to you by your parents and by your grandparents, and they were pretty much embedded by the time you were 10 years old. So there's some beliefs that you didn't even have a chance to develop for your own. You just are living them out.
You inherited them.
You inherit the belief
system.
system.
Know it.
And didn't unconsciously inherited them. And so the good news is you get to choose to the belief systems you like, and then you get to divorce. I'm going to say divorce because that's a strong word. We all know what separation looks like when you say divorce. You get to divorce from a belief system that doesn't serve you any longer. A belief system that says money is the root of all evil, maybe. Or a belief system that says only rich people have money, or all rich people are crooks. Or my belief system used to be that wealthy people aren't spiritual. That if I'm wealthy, I can't be a spiritual person.
You have to pick God or money.
One or the other. I got to pick my faith or my finances. I can't have both. That's a belief system. And I invite you to divorce it because it's not the case. I have both. And I live in both quite well. I use my money for good in the world. And the more money you have, the more good you'll do if you're a good person. So money makes you more of who you are. So you will only be more of who you are with money. And so, number one, understand your belief systems. I have this program where I look at your money blueprint, and I help you look at your money blueprint. And I ask you questions. How was money in your household? Was it the source of argument, the source of contention and divisiveness? Because if so, you don't want money to divide you and your family. So you might not want to have money around, or you want too much because you don't want to be divided.
You don't want to be judged or whatever
Or did it keep your parents away? Like, what was your relationship to money as a child? Because that's fueling you. That has an unconscious influence over you now.
A filter of how you see everything.
Exactly. And you want to bring from the unconscious to the conscious. You might not be listening to it, but you definitely don't want it to have any unconscious power over you. So that's number one. Be aware of your money blueprint. How is money related to in your community? How is it related to in your house? What did you think about money? How is your faith attached to it? I used to think that literally in order to be like Sister Brown, who was like the most godly woman in my church when I was a teenager, she was amazing. But we also had fundraisers for Sister Brown. That I could not have $1 million in my bank account and be Sister Brown.
Yeah.
So I had to it took me years to do that.
Now, did you consciously sit down and say, I want to manifest inspiring millions of people making millions of dollars? Was it a conscious thing? Were there moments where you sat there when you weren't living in that reality, where you said, you know what, I'm going to decide, I'm going to figure it out. I might not know how, I might not know where or what, but I'm going to commit to it and make it a reality. I mean, talk to me at the core of your experience.
Right. So I love how you say make millions of dollars. I said I want to inspire people, and I want to be able to pay my bills. That was initially.
That was a big dream.
I want to run out a month before I run out of money. Big. I want to have enough. That like you can't think about having abundance until you literally give yourself permission to have enough.
Yeah, get past scarcity.
So I want to have enough to dream. And so my first, I think I have a ministry mindset. My first, I just want to help people. I want to help people and I want to be rewarded for my efforts, right? And then once I got past that, I said, okay, I want more. I want to generate millions. I want to serve millions, inspire millions, and generate millions. I think I deserve all of that. But that had to do with my self-worth.
Right.
I had to feel worthy to touch millions. And I had to feel worthy to touch millions. I had to feel worthy of both. And so that was personal development, which is
Yes.
why I live and I stay in personal development. I teach personal development. I teach wealth development. I teach business development, and I teach personal development.
I love
because
that.
you have to have both. And so the first piece is understanding your money blueprint, and then understanding that money is an energy. And if you don't treat money right and you're not responsible with money, you will repel money because you're not a good steward of it. And so until I became a better steward of money, and I'm still growing in that area, and money and I would keep giving it away until it was all gone because my mindset said it all had to be gone. There's never going to be extra.
Yeah.
My grandmother would make 10 dimes go in 20 different directions. Who was I to have 20 dimes and only 10 directions needed?
Yes.
Right? Again, mindset,
Yes.
right? And then understanding your worth. A big thing was understanding my worth and my value. When The Secret came out, and all of a sudden the world saw my value.
Yes.
And they kept coming at me with, oh my God, you're amazing and we want to pay you. And they wanted to pay me more than I was charging.
Yes. And you probably had limiting beliefs, imposter
Oh my God.
syndrome, right?
Oh my
Can you
God.
talk a little bit about imposter syndrome?
Oh
and
my
actually
gosh.
Feeling like, whoa, I don't deserve this.
Oh.
Right? How do you catch up the beliefs to the money? Yeah.
Yeah, well, the night before I was going on the Oprah show in 2007.
What was that like? Probably nervous the night before,
yeah,
right?
well, I'll tell you. What had happened was the Oprah team had heard some of my backstory. And they said, can we send a camera crew, much like this wonderful camera crew,
Yes.
not nearly as good looking, and can we send a camera crew to capture your story? And so I shared my story. And I mean, I dumped. And I shared the ugly. And right after the interview, I regretted it. Because I didn't think I could be the secret teacher, the expert, and have that kind of ugly out there in the world. I didn't know. I didn't know that the world would love me for what I've come through. I thought that they would consider me an imposter in The Secret. And so I shared all this junk. 2 weeks later, I'm on my way to Oprah to do the actual recording, and I know I know the video. So the night before, I'm packing and I'm crying. I'm like, oh, it's over tomorrow. It's all over.
I'm gonna go embarrass myself on Oprah.
It's the fastest career up and down anyone's ever seen. Lisa Nichols will be The Secret.
Yes.
Right. So, I'm just sad. I'm scared, and I call a friend of mine at 4:15 in the morning because I stayed up all night.
Of course, yeah. How are you gonna sleep before that?
You're right. And I said, I know they don't know my junk and the video, and it's over. And he said, look, can I pray for you, Lisa? And I was like, sure. My friend says, God, thank you for using your imperfect child to help your imperfect children. I went to Oprah the next day, and as the chatter kept going in my head, leading up to the moment when they play this video, I'm like, it's okay. I'm enough. I'm enough with all my mess. I'm enough. And the chatter kept, nope, they're going to find out. They're going to find out your son's father is in jail. They're going to find out. And I thought, no, they're not going to find out because I'm going to tell them. Because there's power in transparency. There's power in authenticity. There's power in truth. That I'm going to speak life into someone else because they're going to see who I am because of that, in spite of that, with that. And so then the after show came. So after the regular Oprah show, the after show. And man, I cracked open on the after show. And within 72 hours, talk about the power of transparency and authenticity. Within 72 hours, I received 8,782 emails. And my email wasn't even Lisa Nichols. It wasn't even easy to find. And my website wasn't Lisa Nichols.
Yeah.
People searching for me.
Whatever it took.
Because of the truth. And so I had the imposter syndrome then. I've had it since then. People told me, oh my God, you're the answer. And I'm searching for my own answers.
Right, yeah, of course. And in your coaching programs as well. And as a coach myself, I know this.
Absolutely.
Because you help and serve people, but at the same time, I have coaches.
You're in your journey.
Yes,
You're in your
exactly,
journey. And you got your
exactly.
mess. You got your coach and your mess.
But that's actually the blessing. because
Absolutely.
if you're a
You'll teach
perfect
from
coach,
it.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll teach from it.
What context do you have to
Yeah,
share with
I don't want to
them?
learn from anyone who doesn't have any problems.
Amen.
Because we
yeah.
have nothing in common. Because I got issues. And my issues, again, got big price tags, take a long time. And so, to the conversation about money and wealth, it's one being willing to release a familiar now for an unfamiliar future. Now that's easier said than done,
Yes.
and it's bigger than it sounds. Are you willing to have your future look unfamiliar, and in some cases, look around and you don't recognize anything? Are you willing? Are you so tied to the comfort of what you know, even in its discomfort? So I was willing to reinvent myself 1,000 times. Are you willing to reinvent yourself? Are you willing to introduce yourself to the new version of you?
Yes.
Are you willing to go places you wouldn't go and do things that you traditionally wouldn't do? See, I wasn't traditionally in meditation or in visualization or hanging around older white men, or like I had 1,000 things that I didn't do traditionally.
And people probably called you crazy for doing, like, oh, you're broke, you're getting government assistance, you can't afford Pampers, and here you are meditating, reading books, visualizing.
Going to this same conference 42 times.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to the seminar, you're still not rich already?
Right.
Yeah,
Hanging around all these people who don't look like you.
Exactly,
You know, talking about, airy-fairy stuff. But also, on your way to wealth, you got to be willing to walk alone sometimes.
Amen.
You got to be willing.
You got
to be willing to walk alone sometimes, because everyone doesn't fit on your journey at every part of your journey. And there's parts of your vision that no one else will get. And when no one else gets your vision, remind yourself, no one else gets your vision because God didn't give your vision to them. God gave your vision to you. And that's all you got to know. And it's your job to be the midwife, the birthing agent. It's your job to be the nursing station. It's your job to be the doctor, the delivery doctor, to bring that vision out so the world can see it. That's your job. No one has to see it or get it while it's here. It's your job to birth it. It's your job to give it arms. It's your job to give it oxygen. And it's your job to be patient enough to know that it won't happen overnight. Just like a child. When a baby is threatening to be born in 5 months, the doctor says, hold on, bed rest. The lungs aren't developed. Hold on, bed rest. The heart isn't strong enough. Hold on, bed rest. The muscles aren't. Same thing about your dream. So when you get impatient about your dream, it's only because you're comparing your dream and your journey to somebody else's journey.
Yes.
It's only because. And Benjamin Franklin says comparison is and will always be the thief of all your joy.
Wow.
And so don't look left. Don't look left. Don't look right. Just look straight ahead. People always say, Lisa, how'd you do it? I wasn't looking left and right. I wasn't keeping notes on what Tony was doing or what Jack was doing. I love them, but I'm busy. I'm busy building my dreams. I'll stop and have dinner with you. I'll stop and bump elbows with you, but I'm not going to compare my life, my joy, my success, and what's my divine right to yours. Nor am I going to minimize my light or my brightness for anyone as well.
I love that.
So the other thing in going to wealth is you got to let your entire light shine. You can't halfway live in shine and shade. You can't halfway live in shine and shade. You can't dim your light so that you're palatable to other people. You can't turn your light down to make sure everyone can understand you, handle you, embrace you. You can't do that. You're robbing everyone who needs your light from your light. So abundance can't come to you because you're trying to temper your light based on what other people think. I did that for years, Omar. Years. I walk in the room, I go, okay, how much of me can they handle? Wow. And I never walked in the room to take over the room. No. I walked in the room to be in the room. But many times, not all of me was in the room.
Yeah.
Because I'm nervous for everyone else in the room. Can they handle it? And so a part of walking to financial abundance is owning and operating in your full light. Doesn't mean you'll get it all right. But even do your wrong, run into the wall in your light. Get back up in your light. Stagger back up in your light. Forgive in your light. Love, even with a broken heart, and then love again in your light. Your light is never, that light right there, that light, it's never negotiable. Because that light never ever belonged to you. Your light has never belonged to you. Your light belongs to the people who are going to cross your path. And as long as you hold it to yourself, you're operating in scarcity, even your light. Most people think it's about money, it's about possession.
Right.
It's also about your light. And so what you've seen in me, anyone who follows me, anyone who likes or loves me or tolerates me.
Millions of people.
Amen. I'm grateful. What you've seen is a piece of my light that I made available to you. Touched a piece of your light. that you were either dancing and celebrating in, you believed you had, or you were trying to discover. Either one. See, a lot of my light will touch people who haven't touched their light yet, but my light will touch your light, and then it's something recognizable. It was my light touching your light, even if you didn't see your light. That's why people run up to me and they hug me and they cry.
Permission to feel their light.
Or a reminder that you have it.
Yes.
Or a reminder that it's yours. I'm a confirmation that what you thought was right. Or I negated what somebody else said about you. Or even what you might be saying about your own self. Light does that. Only light does that. Hold on. I'm going to stop so I can wipe my tears so she can wipe her tears. So that's abundance. When you can hold all that, and then you put a measurable, tangible system to it. See, abundance, financial abundance is not without structure.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of dreamers, they don't get that part. We're creators. I'm a creator. I'm an artist. But then you have to move over to linear structure.
Yes.
You have to put a tangible structure so that people can understand the takeaway. People don't invest just in a feeling. They have to invest in something that will progressively move them forward. Yeah. So how will they contain you? How will they consume you? How will they share you? How will they revisit you? All of that's in the structure and the system. And you have to be responsible enough to put that together. Even if that's not your muscle of strength, it might be your muscle of strength. And if your muscle of strength is structure, how do you get people to feel you?
Yes.
It's either one way or the other. My students come from one end or another. Either they're structure and systemic, and I want people to feel you because structure and systems will make me respect you.
Yes.
If I can feel you, I will be loyal to you. And if I feel you and love you and I'm loyal to you, you need to bring me value so that I consider you my teacher. They have to coexist and live together. And then abundance, ultimately, financial abundance comes with the willingness to be seen. You have to be willing to be seen by millions and millions of people, even in your darkest hour, even in your doubt, even in your brightest hour.
How much would you say of your, and I'm so curious to ask this, I'm actually excited that I get to ask you in person, you know?
Yeah.
How much of the big moments of your life, right, the most significant stepping stones, were you totally scared and took a step anyways? And the reason I ask is because there's people around the world watching this, and there's a step in front of them they're scared of, maybe they're nervous of. Can you talk about how important it is to take the steps into the darkness and how sort of those end up being some of the biggest catalysts in spite of how scary they are, you know?
So I haven't figured out how to overcome fear. So let me start by saying that.
Interesting.
I haven't figured out how to overcome fear. And I think there are techniques that we use to manage fear. I don't think we overcome fear because if I overcame it, it wouldn't come back.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's more of a counselor than a jailer. That's the key.
Exactly.
Yes.
So what I've learned how to masterfully do is dance with fear. I dance with fear where fear doesn't, and change the meaning that fear has. See, most people say allow fear to mean stop. Fear doesn't mean stop to me. Fear shouldn't mean stop to you. Fear informs you. Fear says, go get more information, go get a coach, go collect data, slow down, use your discernment. Fear is informing you of something. Fear is an emotion, just like compassion, love, care. It's a feeling, like any other feeling. Think about it. It's just a feeling.
It's an emotion. Yeah.
You would list it. You list it with other feelings. So why do we give it more power than the other feelings? And we universally do it. So now it's accepted by society. Oh, you're afraid? Okay, hold on.
Yeah, let's stop right there.
Right, exactly. So we've condoned what we allow fear to mean. So I changed my relationship to fear when I realized that fear was going to be with me probably my entire life. Because the bigger you play, the bigger your butterflies. And I always plan to play big. So I'm always stepping out on new terrain. I'm always stepping on new terrain. I'm literally going into a meeting with my staff in the very near future, like tomorrow, and we're changing the game in my company. And I'm leading. So I'm like, yeah, this is exciting. And I got butterflies and bats and birds and all that in my stomach, but I also have a strategy. And so the relationship to fear is You can come with me, but you cannot stop me. So I always bring fear along as a partner. And I ask fear, what else do you need to know? And fear always tells me, go get someone who's been here before. Oh, okay. So I go and find someone who's a pro at that.
Yes.
Well, fear, slow down a bit. You're going too fast. Okay. I pump the brakes a little bit. And so fear is telling you something. It's not ever telling you to sit down your dream. It's never telling you not to open your mouth and use your voice. It's never telling you to sit on the sidelines and wish and look at my life through a lens and through a window and not go get your own. It's never telling you that. It's telling you something that allows you to still play big. Fear is my friend. Fear is your friend. And so the relationship has changed. So
it's like they say, nothing in life has any meaning except the meaning that we give it.
Absolutely.
And so that's a perfect example of using fear as a counselor.
It is.
Not a jailer.
It's a counselor. It's telling you something.
Instead to help you, serve you.
Right.
Yeah.
And when it comes, go, hey, you here again? Okay, let's come on. Like I don't have a fear doesn't have any, I don't stutter step.
A negative connotation.
Right. Yeah. And
that.
So, and I had to do that because I stayed afraid. It just kept coming, but I kept being afraid because I was playing bigger. I'm charting off to Ireland and Swaziland and Kazakhstan and Slovenia. I'm the kid from South Central. And Slovenia and Kazakhstan?
Who was getting government assistance in her late 20s, couldn't afford a pamper.
Right. Whose son's father is still in prison, who is functionally dyslexic, who got a D in speech and a fail in English. Here I am carting all over the world to parts of the world I never even knew existed.
Paying you money that you would have never even dreamed to be paid.
I get paid for one keynote, someone's annual salary, all day, every day.
Yes.
All day, every day, one keynote. What people pay double digits to sit in front of me. I had to own my worth. I had to own the worth that my 6 hours with me is someone's annual salary. And yes, I bring value for that. It's a divine exchange.
Absolutely.
It's an investment into a result. And I can own the result I commit to bring. So when you talk about financial wealth and financial mindset, it's understanding the value you bring and knowing that your fee does not equal your value. Your fee does not equal your value. Your annual salary does not equal your value.
Yes.
That those two don't equal. That's just a form of compensation for who you are. Your value is high. This is just what's being exchanged in the moment.
Yes.
So I do as many free events as I do for fee events because that fee of nothing does not equal my value. Now, before, when I never got paid, I would be offended when someone says, we only got $500 because I made it equal my value.
Right, yeah.
And so your road to financial abundance is to make money mean what money means and to not mistake it to mean something else. Money doesn't mean your value. Money is an energy exchange. Money is a tool member. Money is a team member, and money is a tool. It's a tool. Money gives you access to better memories. Money is not the end all. Money gives you access to better memories. The fact that my son stood on top of what he believes to be the tallest mountain in Africa, with his arms spread open at age 10, saying, Mommy, with his teeth still coming back, Mommy, I'm on the tallest mountain in Africa. I still vividly remember that Raiders jersey and those blue jeans and the teeth coming back in. I still remember the day he can spread his wings and be on another continent. Money brought that memory.
Incredible. Now, let me ask you this, and we have 2 more questions before we wrap up here. We play a little game at the end. For people listening to this, inspired, moved, I'm moved as I sit here. I'm sure the whole crew here is, and I'm sure millions of people who are watching this or listening to this are as well. Let me ask you this. You're known for the law of attraction. Obviously, there's a lot of people believe in it. A lot of people criticize it. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about how the law of attraction really works. How does the law of attraction really work? How much of it is manifestation versus action versus focus? Give me Lisa Nichols' best assessment of it from your study of it for decades. How does the law of attraction really work?
So your life, the way it is, is a physical manifestation of the conversation going on in your head. That your life has to show up to make your conversation about your life true. Because you don't want to be wrong, even when it comes to negative things. So you're speaking life into your life, or you're not speaking life into your life. Now, that's non-negotiable. That's like when people say that they don't believe in the law of attraction, or they don't believe in the power of the word. That's like saying, I don't believe that water's wet. It doesn't change the fact that water's wet. You don't have to like it. And a lot of times when people don't believe in it, it's because they're not speaking the life they want to speak into their life.
Yeah.
See, when you feel a victim to your life, you don't want to say you spoke it. I always say, there was a time in my life when I would go, God, who's writing and this horrible story called getting kicked out of college and on government's assistance and low self-esteem? Who's writing this horrible story about my life? Who's writing the story? And then I focus on the pen. And then I focus on the wrist. And then I focus on the elbow. And then I focus on the shoulder. And then I go, oh, damn, that's my hand holding that pen, writing that story. That's the law of attraction. It doesn't mean that everything that's happened to you, that you made it happen. Now you think you're too powerful. That's where the dissension occurs. There's some things that we don't know why they happen. A child getting cancer, I don't know why it happened. But what I do know is that if a child got cancer around me, I can navigate the energy that I have going through the experience.
Yes.
That if I were crippled all of a sudden, a car accident tomorrow,
Yes.
I choose how much joy I have the day I get out of the hospital. That's what we have power over. That your circumstance might be influenced and will be influenced by others, but your mind is never available to anybody else but you. So the law of attraction is what you think about, you bring about. What you think about, you bring about. That your life is a physical manifestation of the conversation going on in your head. And if you want to see more, then think more. You want to play bigger, think bigger. Now here's the gap. Here's where the secret left off from a secret teacher. Words plus action equals manifestation. Most people thought thoughts equals manifestation. And then they said, that's why people refuted it. It doesn't work. Oh, no, it works. We just didn't have time. It was a 51-minute show. So if we had another 51 minutes, I would have put it on action. Thoughts plus action equals manifestation. There's no way you can't get what you want if you think about it and you make it detailed. And as a child, they used to say, oh, the devil's in the detail. No, the angel's in the details. The results are in the details. You think about it, you write it out, you focus on it, you speak it out, you get someone to hold you accountable to it, and you get in radical action, transformation has to occur. Any mountain in front of you has to bow down. Every single time. I am not supposed to be where I am today. I am not supposed to be who I am today. If it was just about where you come from equals where you go. I disrupted that conversation. You disrupted that conversation. Most of this crew disrupted that conversation because we thought about something, we could see it, we can taste it, we could touch it, and then we got into action. And I'm a grinder. I'm a grinder. Like I don't stop until
you get to the finish line. Yeah.
I don't stop until, and if you can't keep up with me, then you might want to let go because I'm not stopping because I will drag you over the finish line.
How much of it is the what versus the how, right? The classic question, right? So I want this, I want to create this in my life, in the world, in my business, in my income, and whatever it is for the audience at home they're aiming for. How much of it is what I want versus the how? Obviously, how is the detailed plan. It's important.
Yeah.
But which one is more of the energy important to come from or think from?
Well,
you get the question?
I do. And I'm always going to answer you backwards, probably untraditional than anyone else you've interviewed.
Okay, I love it.
I think that if your what's not big enough, and if it doesn't help enough other people, then it's not going to have a lot of juice in it. It can't be isolated. And if it's finite, you can still get it, but it's going to be limited because it's finite. It's not, but
it's not an ongoing energy
I'm a social
thing.
change agent.
Yeah.
So I'm going to think like, the bigger your what, And the more, what's that
Was it
thing?
ripple effect possibility?
Yeah, the more that it can create its own tidal wave onto others,
Yes.
the more your how becomes non-negotiable.
I love that.
See, if your what's not big enough, your how it's just like when people come to me and they'll pay me a lot of money and their what is like this, I go, can we please work with a bigger what so I can have fun with this? Because
Yes.
and when your what's big enough, and when your what's like a Nelson Mandela's,
Yes.
when your what's like a Mother Teresa, like a Mahatma Gandhi, a Cesar Chavez, a Martin Luther King, when a Bishop Tutu, when your what's like that, and it's like, ooh, you don't even know how you're gonna see it in your lifetime.
Yes.
See, we can get into a selfish thing and we want to see it all done in our lifetime. Well, that's selfish because your lifetime is finite. That's kind of small.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Absolutely,
I want to start something that I can see some of it, but I ain't going to see the best part probably because it's just going to keep growing. So to me, when your what is about something that's significant enough to change the way tides go. It's enough to make people who wouldn't get up normally get up. It's enough to make people think twice. Your how begins to unfold and creates. Your how actually gets more momentum.
I love that.
Your how like if your what has enough juice in it, your how will start running in front of you. This life, this Lisa, I was trying to keep up with her for a long time. I promise you, I was trying to keep up with the things you were telling people about me. The things, the crewmate, I was trying to keep up with. I'm like, okay, hold on. Because it was so, that one little moment in The Secret, I talked about looking in the mirror and loving yourself. It was so big. And then that other one little moment, I did something else. It was so big. So when you're what, that was the what. I just want people to fall madly in love with themselves.
Yes.
That what. And so the what doesn't have to be inventing the computer. It doesn't have to be like that because that was huge.
Yeah.
It could be something else that seems so here, but it's so wide. Man, that how will take on its own life.
That's so beautiful. And you know what's ironic about this is that that's how the show was born. This show, The Passionate Few, was born almost 2.5 years ago in my most rock bottom time.
Yeah.
And to think that somehow I'm in front of you.
Yeah.
And as the audience is seeing the amazing people, past, present, and future we have on the show, I totally am in agreement with you. People ask, how? How did you get Lisa
Out of
Nichols?
the ashes.
How did this? Yeah, and I say, to be honest with you, I could give you the tactical, but that's less important than the internal fire inside, because that manifests the how way quicker than logical, thinking or whatever. So
And
I agree with you.
Let me confirm what you just said about you, because I did my research on you.
Oh, nice.
Right,
Love it.
because you were coming, one, in my home, and two, I was coming on your show. And I seek advisory from certain people, and when they say it, it's law. I don't have to do a whole lot more after that. And I called someone, and I said, "Tell me about this person. Tell me about this show." And the first words that came out of her mouth was, "They do a lot of good work in the world. Wow. They do good work. They help people. Because I'm not one to be driven by your reach first.
Right.
So a lot of people are like, oh, we reach. I'm not. I don't care if you're not reaching them with good stuff.
Right.
Right. Numbers don't quantify
Quality.
value.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the first thing that came out of her mouth was what you do in the world and what you produce in the world. And she went to go on. I said, "That's okay. You don't have to go on. I got it. I'm good. All right, I'm good." And I hung up. I'm good.
That means the world to me. Thank you so much.
Just I'm matching what you say with that is what's been said about you, and that is how you are in my home. It's what you're up to in the world. And then when you're clear on the what, and you're become non-negotiable with your what, because your what can't shake, and your what can't check the temperature of the weather outside. Right. And if the weather's good, then the what's strong. If the weather's not good, then the what's weak.
It's irrelevant.
No, it's
ahead.
right. The what has to be the what. Yes. Right. And when it happens, then your what and your why begins to attach itself to someone else's what and why. And you begin to find common ground, and there's an energy that's exchanged. And then our what and our why touches someone else's what and someone else, and all of a sudden you just have this tsunami that's being created. But the what has to start off big enough.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm honored.
Yeah.
I'm honored.
Because it has to get you through. You're not, when you decide your what, Omar, you're not deciding your what for these days. Mm-hmm. This is, I would hope to think, this is the good day. You're deciding your what for the days when the project is still going, but the money ran out.
Right.
You're deciding your what for the days when the family says, I don't even understand what you're doing. You are so bizarre.
Yes.
The what has to stand the days when the significant other doesn't want to be so significant anymore in your life.
All three of those happened in my
Exactly,
life. Yes.
exactly. And so your what has to withstand those days. They don't have to withstand these days. I always tell people, choose your dream based on the worst possible. Don't focus on the worst, but choose it based on being ready and okay with the worst possible fallout, and then still choose it. Then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's true. There's no way out.
I'm not wondering.
Full speed ahead.
I'm not worried about anything. I'm down. I say yes to it all. That's when I say yes, yes. That second yes that's not just a cliche. That second yes is louder because the first yes is to you and your dream. The second yes is to what it's going to cost you.
Yeah, I love that. It's so beautiful. Now, last question before we
Yes.
wrap up. This has been an incredible interview, and I'm honored by the kind words. And this question is for people around the world. I'm sure you have coaching clients. I have coaching clients. And whether people have coaches or not, there's people out there really struggling right now. Particularly now more than ever with Instagram and social media, people comparing themselves. Oh, they're this successful. What am I? I'm not good looking, right? You know, that classic dialogue. What would Lisa Nichols' best advice be to somebody out there who's looking for answers? Maybe they're lost, maybe they're broke, or maybe they're financially great, but they're unfulfilled inside. They're stuck, they're lost. What's Lisa Nichols' best advice on step one on how to go from being lost and in a funk to making your life work?
I would tell you to do the same thing I did 21 years ago. I got in the mirror because if I'm lost, I lost myself. I got in the mirror and I completed 3 different sentences. I looked at myself and the first sentence was, Lisa, I'm proud that you. And I found 7 different things to be proud of myself for. So that's your first sentence. I'm proud that you. Look in the mirror right after you finish watching this and find 7 different things to be proud of. I'm proud that you. And from small things to big things. Second sentence, cut the shackles to blame, shame, guilt, and regret. The second sentence is, say your name and say, I forgive you for. And forgive yourself for 7 different things. And the third sentence, say your name, I commit to you that. And by doing that, you are now, and do it every day for the next 30 days, and something will shift. You celebrate yourself first. I'm proud that you. You release the shame, blame, guilt, regret, and anger by saying, I forgive you for. And the third thing is you make a commitment to yourself before you commit to anybody else by saying, I commit to you that. So I summarized that. That's the exercise I did. I did it for 6 months. But I was diagnosed as clinically depressed. And I was prescribed Prozac when I did it. And so I needed to get my life back.
Wow.
So I did it every day to find Lisa. So I'm not just telling you this as a nice little thing over there. I'm telling you what I did to turn my crawl into a walk, and my walk into a run, and my run into a soar. I did those very things because who you are is an unrepeatable miracle. No one can do you better than you. And you are the best gift that your environment could have, as they are a gift to you. And it's not in the time that you're standing that you're going to be the greatest value at times. It's when you're staggering and getting back up, when someone's watching you and you inspire them to do the same. And so I would say get in the mirror and become intimately connected with who you've always been. You've never gone away. Our mind just starts getting filled with all the lies and the stories, and we start keeping score versus track. Yes. Don't keep score, keep track. Don't keep score on why you shouldn't succeed. Keep track on what you've done to get yourself here.
That's beautiful. And then the last question is actually a game we play called First Things First. So it's a really quick game. Basically how it works, I'm gonna rifle off 10 words or phrases, and then you just tell me the first word or phrase that comes to mind.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
The only rule is that you can't repeat yourself twice.
Okay.
Okay? So I'm gonna rifle off a word or phrase, and then you just tell me the first word or phrase that comes to mind.
Word or phrase.
Gotcha. Ready? Mm-hmm. First
Am
word.
I looking at you or the camera?
You can look at me.
Okay.
First word, fear.
Non-negotiable.
Abundance.
Birthright.
Wealth.
Available to everyone.
Coaching.
Necessary.
Your past.
Does not equal my future.
Your team.
Irreplaceable.
This interview.
Heartwarming.
Mindset.
Needs to be managed.
Passion.
Is your fuel.
And last one, you ready? Lisa Nichols, motivating the masses, everything you've done in the world. The last word would be your legacy.
Here lies a woman. Here lies a woman who showed us how to climb over the mountain, climb under the mountain, go around the mountain, or straight through it. Here lies a woman who lived her life to be a shining example of what it's like to give yourself 1,000 second chances. And every time you get to $9.99, press reset. Here lies a woman who bridged cultures together, religions together, economic statuses together. She continued Dr. Martin Luther King's dream in her way.
I love that so much. Thank you so much, Lisa, for being on the show. It's been a true honor.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. And make sure to check out Lisa and all her social links in the description below. And until next time, thank you for being one of the passionate few.
If you guys enjoyed that video, be sure to hit that subscribe button right now, because every week we bring you the very best in personal development content, interviews, and insight to help inspire you to take your life and your dreams and make them a reality. And also, if you want to know how to book dream guests the same way I have, you can check the link below for my top 3 secrets. So if you have a podcast or a show or whatever it is and you want to collaborate with them, if you click that link below, I'll give you those top 3 secrets to help you get in touch with anybody. And also, don't forget that The Passionate Few is available on media platforms as well. So you can subscribe to the podcast. And until next time, thank you for being one of the passionate few.